in your computers. We will try to resolve those doubts in the end of the session, because in between of the session it becomes difficult for me, and it difficult for me to answer every doubt, and your doubt might get unnoticed, but in the end I will try to resolve all the doubts that you might get. So a little about our mentor. He is not available till now. He will be joining us a little soon. He has you all know him. He taught you yesterday about HTML, the semantics of HTML. He has interned at DRDO and focusing on API and security there. He has done internship at SPG, Special Protection Groups, and where he focused at radar communication systems. And he has also interned at Niti Aayog as a software engineer intern. He will be joining us soon. And a little about your instructor. That is me. I am currently pursuing my intern at a Delhi government university named Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University. I have done a lot of coding. I have been to a lot of hackathons, won some, lost some. That's how life is. So for today, oh, before that, if any of you would like to connect with us, it would make our day. Scan our scan our LinkedIn's QR ID. If you are done with it, then we can move on. Take a screenshot or just write a yes in the chat if you have done it. If you have connected with both of us, then we can move on. A little yeses will have you move on to the next slide. Okay, good. So, day 2, that is CSS, cascading style sheets. Is there anyone who wants a recap of what we learned yesterday? See, I would like to keep this session as interactive as possible. You don't have to open your mics, but please write in the chat. Okay, Dipanshu. If the majority will ask me to do a screenshot, to do a recap of yesterday's, yes. Okay, okay. I see a lot of thumbs up. So I think we should first do with a. There are some thumbs downs also, but I think the majority is of the thumbs up. So I think we should do a recap. It will be a small recap. You guys don't have to worry a lot. But yeah, let's start. HTML is basically the semantics of how a website is made. There is no style in that website. For example, let me share my screen and give you an example of how pure HTML looks like. Just a second, I'm sharing my screen. Yeah, I hope my screen is visible. Yeah. So here I have made a simple HTML file. I hope all of you made it in the last session. Here there is nothing, just a form, a label, a input, and a button. If we go live with it, let's see what's in our. So essentially, our website looks like this. There is no styling, there is no font changing. It's the same simple name, an input box, and a submit button. So here, what is happening basically? What is it that making the browser go, oh yeah, I have to show this label, I have to show this input, I have to show this button. What happens is when you load a website, wherever the browser loads a website, what it basically receives is a bunch of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files. Yeah, after class, please send GitHub and PDF of the session of the revision. Yes, I will. All the resources will be sent to you. There is no worrying about that. So yeah, I hope everything is recapped now. Like there is nothing too much to worry here. A simple label tag, an input tag, a button tag, a div tag, or whatever tags you want to use in your HTML will be linked to a CSS, and then you can style it. Let's see what the use of a style sheet is, what the use of CSS basically is. Wait a second, am I stuck? Arnav, can you pin the pin the slides window? Yeah, okay. So here we can see what CSS basically does is it lets you style the website, like the color, the font size, the background, etc. Used for positioning tags on the website. Whatever tags you are using in your HTML, it is used to position those tags on your website. There is no logic in CSS. It is basically the body of how your website is going to look like. There is no brain of the website here. What it basically does, here is an example of how CSS does things. This is on the left. You can see that there is a without CSS part of our Twitter's homepage, Twitter's login page. Basically, there is just text, simple text written, uh, no styling to the sheets, no nothing. But in but to the right side, But to the right side, here we can see that all of the things here, all of the buttons, all of the fonts are of different things or of different styles, basically. So this is how the CSS changes the look of our website. CSS is what changes the look of our website. So I think we should start with how CSS works. There are three types of CSS used. Wait a second, I think my video was stuck. Am I audible? Can all of you write a yes in the chat? Sorry, actually my net went off. Yeah. So CSS basics. Here we have three types of CSS that we can write in our code. That is inline, internal, and external. I will share my screen to let you all see that how we can write all these three types of CSS in our code in our project. Inline CSS. Here we can see that the same form that we were making there is styled. Here, let me again see. So this is the output of our code. Now we can understand what's going on in our code. We have a form. We have a form that which has a style tag, and style is then defined here. border 2 pixel, solid blue, padding 10 pixel, width 300 pixel. These might look like what are these words, what are these things. We will learn about that in a little. But here you can see that we are doing something like we are giving a border, giving some padding, and giving the width of that to that element, to that form. Okay, same goes to label, same goes to input, and same goes for button. Here in internal css, what we do is we use a style tag. Last yesterday we learned about tags, right? So here what we do is define a style tag and then put our css in that. Like here, we are targeting the form element and then giving a border, giving a padding, giving a width to all the forms that will be present in the body of our HTML. Let's see what the output of this file looks like. See, pretty much the same. The colors are different. I have used different colors for different types of CSS stylings. And same goes for external css. Here what is happening, see, there is no css written here. Can any of you see any css written here? No, but there is this linked, this is linked to our css file, css sheet, that is styles.css. We have defined another file named styles.css in the folder, and we have targeted we are targeting it, using the link tag. Here in the styles.css we can see that we have put the same css as the internal css thing, right? Let's see how this one looks like. Pretty much the same, right? So here we saw that all of these look like the same. About these stylings, we will obviously learn about them in a bit. What these things are, what is width, what is margin bottom, what is background color, padding, etc. We will learn about it in a bit. I will be stopping to share here and will present the slide again. Yeah. Coming back to the slides, now we all know what inline, internal, and external means. If you have any doubts, write it down. I will tell it about in the end. Okay, next slide. Syntax. We were seeing how these things work. There is a selector. Selector is the element of the HTML, the tag that of the HTML. It can be the tag, it can be the class of the HTML tag, or it can be the ID of the HTML tag. These are called selectors. Then the property, the color, the padding, the font size, or anything that you have to change from that selector, from that style, from that HTML element, from that tag, whatever you have to change, that is called the property. And then the value. Here color is changed to blue. So what will happen? Can anyone tell me what will happen if I execute this line of code? H1, color blue, and font size 12 pixels. Write in the chats what will happen to the H1 tag. Okay, blue color font, color and font size of H1 will change. Okay, it will turn blue and the size will be 12 pixels. Okay, we will learn about these properties in a bit, but here I can tell you that color blue means the text written in the H1 tag, whatever the text might be written in the H1 tag will convert into blue. Default, it is black. It is always black. The font, whatever the text that you write is black in the website, and it will change to blue. And same goes for the font size. The font that is in the H1 tag will change to 12 pixels. Very good, Krish Batra, Saksham Gupta, Jatin Kaushik. Great answers. Oh, sorry. Here are some important styling properties. But before telling you about these, I will tell you about some basic, very basic styling properties like color, font size, etc. Let me share my screen again. I will make a new file named index.html. Write the boilerplate code here and define a h1 tag, and there is a hello. I will see how it is looking currently. So as you can see, there is an h1 tag which says hello. Nothing too complicated, nothing too basic. It is too basic. So when I define a link to a style sheet here, first of all, I will have to make a dot css file. Or yeah, one more thing, whenever you are defining a css file, you have to end it with dot css. Like in html, we were defining each html file with dot html, like here external dot html, index dot html, inline dot html. If you want to write, you can just say index dot css, and this will convert the file into index.css. Here we will give the link to the index.css file here. Now, let's say color. Let's see what happened here. I will do a quick reload. See, it turned red. So what did I do? I just changed the color of the h1 tag. Let's give the background color. Background color yellow. Let's see what happened. I will give a quick refresh. Wow. See, here we can see that hello. Can anyone tell me why did the background of the whole block changed? Why not just the element? It is a little complicated answer. So if you, yeah, very good, Krish Batra. H1 is a block element. We will learn about what block element, inline block element, and all of these positioning, all of these display types are. But just for now, mm, see that H1 is a block element. It is containing the whole block. If I write something after the h1 tag, it will come after this, not along with this. Okay, this shows the background. See, whenever you want to debug your code, now you whenever you want to debug your code, whenever you see that my css is not working properly, you should always give a background color to it. What the background color will do is let you see that how much space that h1 element or whatever the element you are giving the background color to is taking. This will help you do things that you can so that you can debug your code. Let's explore some more. Padding, let's give a bigger number, 20 pixels. Let's reload. Yeah. What did padding do? See, there will be a lot of time you will have to figure out what padding and margin does. This question is always asked in intermediate type of interviews. What margin is and what padding is. Today we will learn both these. So what padding does is basically gives padding to the internal part of the gives margin to the internal part of the element. Here, if I would have to give a margin 20 pixel. These two things are kind of relative to each other, but yet so different. We will see here. Margin from here and here increased. Why? See, what margin and padding does is margin gives the margin gives the gap from the sides, or you can define margin gives the margin x, margin y. Here margin is defaultly set to x axis. So your element is moved, or your your element is given a margin from both these sides externally, and padding works internally. The hello tag, the hello whatever we have written here, hello or something else, if we would have written, it would have given the padding, if it would have given the space from internal sides. Here we got external sides, so here we can write that padding gives gap from gap internally. Okay. Yeah, one more thing. This is how you give comments in CSS. A little jarring, I know, but this is how you give. This is how you give comments, and it is always good to give comments in your CSS files, because there is a lot of confusion in CSS files. So yeah, here I have written that padding gives the gap internally and margin gives the gap externally. Let me come back here. So here you can see these two happen. And what more? Box shadow. See, here are three attributes. We are giving 5 pixel, 5 pixel, and 5 pixel, and then the color of the element, of the box shadow. Here, basic box shadow. Let me tell you what box shadow basically does. Box shadow basically gives this shadow to the element, shadow to the whole block. Here it is giving shadow to the h1 tag. So what it is basically doing is giving 5 pixel along the x-axis, then again 5 pixel along the y-axis, and then giving a 5 pixel blur. Let's see what happens if we remove this. See, there is no blur, right? But this 5 pixel, most of the time you will use this blur. Whenever you are making any type of component, any type of container, you will have to use this blur element, because it enhances the look of the element. But all of the CSS is basically to enhance the look of the element of your website. So basically, yeah, whatever. This is box shadow. Then comes the typography. Let's say font size 20 pixel. Let's see now what happens. Because H1 has a larger default font size, it shrinked down to 20 pixels. Let's give a bigger number here and then see what happened. It came back to 30. And then, yeah, you got the point. You can change the sizing of the font using font size. And then there is positioning and there is float property that we will learn in a little. So yeah, basically this was it about the basic part of the HTML. Any problems till now, you can write in the comment. Yeah, I will wait for, it is 8:40 right now. I will wait for 2 minutes. If there are any problems, write in the chat. If you have any doubts, write in the chat. Or give a thumbs up if you are continuing, if you are okay with what's. Devansh has raised a hand. Okay, everyone. I think there are lots of thumbs up. So I think I'm doing good right now. Let's understand positioning and float property. Positioning, you will be using positioning to make your websites responsive. What responsiveness means is what I will tell you in a little. But In layman languages, responsiveness is how your website is gonna look on different types of devices. There are different types of position properties like relative, fixed, absolute, static, sticky, etc., etc. We will learn about all of them in a. We will learn all of them right now. Just a second. Let's go to static first because static is the first positioning. See, what here we are doing is just statically positioning our this text or this box. We are basically positioning this box statically to the website. There is no, as you can see in the code here, I have not written a single thing. I have not written a single thing about the positioning. This is the default positioning of anything, of any tag, of anything that you write in your HTML. This is how it will defaultly look like, and that position is called static, right? If I make a box like this, first of all, by now you might know how to do a simple box. Like here I have done nothing. I have set a background color, I have set a border, width and height. I didn't tell you about width and height. Width is basically setting the width of the element, and height is basically setting the height of the element. And pixels, these are px means pixels. There are different types of units in CSS. There are some defaultly responsive units also, like rem, vh, wh. These are these are automatically responsive. They were made later in the CSS thing. Like these units came late, but pixels is something that most of the time you will be gonna be using for setting up simple things. So yeah, everybody got what static positioning was. Now let's move to relative. What relative positioning is? In relative positioning, we can define how much basically here what we are doing is our div here, the div is relative to the body, and whatever styles, whatever gaps, whatever however we want to move the uh, div, it will move relative to the body tag. So here we know that body is this full, like the full screen, and we have moved our box. We have moved our box from top and left. From top we have moved it down by 20 pixels, and we have from left we have moved it right to 30 pixels. Here you have to understand this thing very carefully. Whenever you are saying that top 20 pixel, this tells you that from the top I want my element to be moved down. We are saying it top 20 pixels, but it won't go above, it will go down only. And same goes for left. Whenever we are saying that left 30 pixels, it will move our div 30 pixels to the right of the screen. I hope all of you got what I'm trying to say here. One more thing to check whether uh, how your CSS is working. You can always go here and select this. Here we can see that our element is 200 pixel into 100 pixel, right? 200 pixel into 100 pixel, and it is moved 20 from the left, 20 from the top, and 30 from the left, right? This is just a simple thing that you all of you can do. You can just open your inspect element. This is called the inspect element. This thing, the box I'm opening right now, is called the inspect element. And here you can do a lot of things like seeing if your website is responsive or not, or seeing how your tags are working here. So static done, relative done, then comes the absolute. What this does is positions our container, positions our tag inside the container. Like, let me tell you, let me show you basically. Absolute. Here, what absolute positioning is doing is moving from the same thing as relative. It both of these are relative to each other. Both of these are like similar to each other, absolute and relative, but they are different on a basic level. That absolute, what absolute does is it changes the position of the tags with relation to container. Okay, so here we have a container, we have another div called, we have given it the class container. This name convention has nothing to do with the logic. Yeah, I have just written it here. But what I'm trying to say here, let's suppose that we have a container. Most of the times when you will be working with positionings, you will have to contain something and another tag. There will be a lot of nested tags in your project. So whenever you want to position a box, a text, or anything inside a container, you can use absolute. You can use the absolute positioning. What this basically is doing, positioning the div inside another div. Now comes sticky and fixed. Just like relative and absolute, sticky and fixed are also kind of similar. We will see how they are similar. Fixed positioning. Here, see, you can see the scroll bar here. I am doing this, and it is fixed here. It is not moving. Now, here comes the sticky one. Sticky positioning also does same thing, that it is sticked to the top of the hmm, it is sticked to the top of the website. Let's see how these two work and how these two are coded. Sticky and fixed. Here comes fixed, same thing. Position, we have changed the position fixed, background color, and a width, a height, and then we have given top and right. Here comes sticky. Position sticky, top 10 pixel. Whenever we scroll, it becomes fixed here. These two are different. See, these two are different, but a part of the same thing. Like, sticky is a wrapper on top of the fixed positioning. Whenever we are saying that our element has to be fixed, like here, even if we want to change something, it will always be on the top. It will have the z index of 1. This will on, however we scroll, it will not change its position. And same goes for sticky, that upon basically sticky is used to stick our nav bar. Have you, or have anyone of you seen nav bars where they are fixed, websites where they are sticked to the top of the website? This sticky positioning is used there. Next, I think I have covered all of it. Typography, padding margin, float. Yeah, float. Let's see how floating works. Here I have, what I have done is I have used two containers. One is left and one is right. Let's see how the code is working. There is one div named float left, and there is another div named float right. Clear is nothing that's like, there is nothing to see here. It is just for seeing how these things are working. So float left, what float left basically is doing is making our element float to the left of the screen, and same goes for right. It is making our element float to the right of the screen of the website. If we do this in a container, let's suppose I had a container here, and I wanted a thing to be, I wanted this left to be here. So I would just put another div upon this, give it a border, and then we will position it left. We will say it float left, and it will float to the left of the container. Till now, if anybody has any problems, they can write it in the chat, or I should move on. The next topics are responsiveness, that is Flexbox, grid, and media query. Give me a thumbs up if there is no problem right now. What responsiveness is? Wait, let's talk about what responsiveness is first. Responsiveness is how a website looks like in different screen sizes. Here we can see for any website. Let me close these tabs first. Just let's just say this is the google.com's main page or whatever. Whenever we open it in our phones, the layout looks a little different. If we open it in our phones, or if we open it in our let's say I open it in iPhone SE, here we can see that the styling, the everything is changed. This is what responsiveness of a website is. In the early days when websites were being created, and when there were no phones on, or even when there were phones, some websites were made only and exclusively for laptops, for desktops, etc. Because developers then didn't have these CSS stylings, these Flexbox, grid, and media queries, etc. At that time, they didn't have these all of these things. These were introduced very late in the CSS thing. They had to make in the recent days when there were no CSS stylings like this. They were had to make two screens, like two websites of the same thing for phone and for laptop. But after coming of these styling types like Flexbox, grids, and media queries, all of these things changed, and now we have responsive websites all over the internet. There is hardly any website which is working, which is generating revenue, has a non-responsive is non-responsiveness. So how does responsiveness actually work? We will see about that. Let's see. Let me stop sharing here first. I have to show you something. So for today, we all of us, I want now the coding part starts. Here, if I know most of the people here know how to operate with CSS. Take the screenshot of this slide that is getting presented on your screen right now, and try to make the nav bar above these the display flex justify content. First of all, how many of you know the CSS? uh, how many of you know CSS that they can you that they, you know that you can make something like this nav bar here? Pranav, okay. Art Verma has raised a hand. Okay, a lots and lots of thumbs up. So I want all of you to make something like this. The here is one logo, one home, one about section, one service, and one contact. These are not buttons. These are just links. The links, the href to these links are just hashes, and there is a sign up button. The the nav bar doesn't have to be much fancy here. You can just make it, and I will ask for it later on. But till then, take a screenshot. If any one of you want to try making this, take a screenshot and go on. Until then, try to make it. And until then, I will teach a little about what justify content and align items mean. First of all, let's learn about flex boxes. I will share my screen again and teach these properties, what justify content and align items are. Until then, if you know all of these things, try to make the nav bar. I hope all of you took a screenshot. We will learn it using a famous problem called center a div problem. You all of you might have seen the center a div problem anywhere like on uh, YouTube or anywhere else, on Instagram, etc. This is how a centered box looks like. We will learn how we did it. Here I'm using the CSS in the same. I'm using basically the internal CSS. If you want, you can use external CSS. I mean, you can use external. You should use external CSS only. But for tutorial purposes, I have used internal CSS here. Let's see what I'm doing, and through this, we will learn what flex does to our website. What display flex means. Okay. You saw the output here. Let me just remove the display flex and see what happens. Wow. All of the things that were related to flex were disappeared. Nothing. See, justify content, align items, background color, all of these things are background color is working, but justify content and align items, these two also stopped working as I commented out display flex. Why did that happen? Because justify content and align items are a part of display flex. Most of the times whenever you will have to center a div, you will have to position different things on the website, you will have to use flex or grid. Flex is an easier version of grid. Flex lets you divide the content, style the content in a 1D manner. Let me show you what that means. When I did display flex here, let me comment out this. I did display flex here, nothing changed because I have just made the display of this element, sorry, display of the body, display of this whole body a flex. Okay. We have just defined it. Currently it is doing nothing because by default it is set to whatever the default CSS gives it. There is nothing to think about it. It just is same as it would be. We are essentially doing is giving a height of 100 VH. Here VH is full viewport height. VH means viewport height. Whatever you can see on this screen is called viewport, and we are giving the height to the body as 100. Like we are giving 100% of the screen to you body, and now you can whatever your things will be on the screen will be displayed like this. Will be displayed on full of it. I will show you what would happen if we don't give the 100 VH also. So when we did flex, it just gave the permission to the body that now you are 100 pixels strong, 100 viewport height strong. Now you can do whatever you want. Now if I comment out justify content center. Oh, sorry. I just did justify content center. What it did essentially is center our div horizontally. Here we can see that it centered our box horizontally. Nothing else. We first step what we did, gave the permission to the body that yeah, you are 100 viewports, 100 viewports strong. Now we justify content center. Justify content center did what justify content center basically did is gave the permission to the div tag that all the content, all the content in the body will be centered in the 100 vh screen. Now let me again comment this one out and comment in this one. Same thing, I guess all of you got what align items does. It aligns the item in the vertical axis. What justify content was doing was aligning the items horizontally. It is aligning the items vertically. Let's see what other things justify content and align items can do. It went to the end. Why? Because justify content made all the elements in the body tag go to the end of the screen horizontally. And same if we do it with align items, there is another, and it will do the this thing just vertically. Flex and flex, start, left, right, safe, space around, space between. We will also learn about space around and space between, because most of the time you guys will have to deal with it. Now, everything clear till now? So, all of you who are not currently doing the nav bar thing, I want all of you to open your VSS VS Code and start writing this code. You can copy it from here, uh, and you have to start writing it. All of you, give me a thumbs up whenever you are ready. You just have to write the HTML. We will learn about the CSS right now. You just have to write this. Wait a second, let me tell you. Okay, just this. Let me copy and paste this in the chat. Open your VS codes, put this, name your HTML file whatever you want it to be, and then put this code in there and give me a thumbs up as soon as possible. I will be waiting till then. It is 9:04 right now. I will wait till 9:07. I hope all of you will be done by then. Whenever someone is done, give me a thumbs up here or give me a yes in the chat. Muskan Maurya. Very good. Anybody else who is done with it? 9:05. I will wait for 2 more minutes and then start giving thumbs up, guys. It won't take this much time to just set up a simple index.html and writing this code. Jatin Kaushik, Yoshita Shingal. Okay, one more minute. Okay, Aishwarya Soni, very good. So now define a style tag just like this. I will also define style tag just like this here. Style. And we have to center. Okay, don't need all of this. This is my Copilot giving things. We will just copy it from here, paste it here, and we'll learn line by line what we are doing. So here we are targeting the body tag and saying that your margin is set to 0, the height is 100, and display is flex. Justify content center and align item center. What if we had another same thing, the same tag again and again and again and again? Let's see what is happening now. See, four of the centered boxes. I haven't given any I haven't given anything to the centered box thing. I haven't given any styling to the box, but this is how it is appearing on the screen. Now, if we give some style, just copy this style. I will paste it in the chat. This will be same for all the centered boxes. I will put this in the chat here. This thing, and just paste it there. Yeah. All of these are aligned vertically and horizontally in the middle of the screen. Flex direction column. Flex direction is also an important property that comes with flex. What we are basically doing here, that to any element that is displayed flex, we are giving the direction to all the flex elements of that. We are giving the direction to all the flex elements of that tag. So we are saying here that everything in the flex, whatever in the flex is, whatever these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes will be of direction column. So all of these done, all of these converted into columns. If we were to set it to row, it will go to default as it was. I hope all of you did the thing. Now we will come to the next slide. We almost covered all of these. Whatever these are doing, you can read it and you can apply it to whatever to the code that we were doing. So basically, you learned how to center a div. This is a very famous meme in the Instagram or whatever coding community. These are the things that you will. This is very this is very basic thing. This is a very basic thing that anyone should know. But this is a very like epitome. It is in meme language. It is called the epitome of web development. Same thing goes with grid. Grid is also a type of display in the grid is also a type of display in CSS, which says that every element on the screen is displayed in a grid. It creates the display. It creates the layout in a 2D manner, in a row and column manner. Then comes media query. Media query is a very important thing. Media query you will be using a lot of times whenever you want to change something that will look different on the screen and different on a laptop screen and different on a simple phone screen. Here is the basic syntax of media query. Whenever you want to say there is a media, at media, this is always written, and then a condition. Always remember, whatever comes in the bracket is a condition, and then comes the CSS rules. Two things that you will have to learn here are max width and minimum width. Max width basically defines that if your screen is less than the maximum width, it won't work. And same goes for minimum width. If your screen is more than the minimum width, it will not. Let's see. Let's show this with code. Here we can see that we have a simple nav bar, and upon doing inspect, upon inspecting the element, and upon seeing the responsiveness, these four link tags that we had changed into this hamburger menu. This is called a hamburger menu. So what we are doing here, let's see the code. We have a logo, we have a menu icon, and I have just copied it from the internet, from Google, a hamburger menus, I Skype. And then we have four tags under UL, under an ordered list, and then a list. What navbar CSS is doing here, we can see that we have first said menu icon. We have displayed none. What display none basically does is setting the display to none for all the things. Here, if we ignore the code after line 43, we can see that our menu icon, the hamburger menu, is displayed none. It won't display whatever you do. But then comes the media thing. What media thing does, whenever we set a maximum width, it says the styles for devices with width itna for 468 pixels or smaller. If you have a device with width 768 or smaller, this styling will work. Okay. Whenever you have a width uh, a device with width 768 or less, it will work. It won't work for anything above than 768. 788 is not working. But when I do it less than 768, it works. And same goes for minimum height. Minimum width. What minimum width basically does is sets the style for devices with width something or larger. If you have a minimum width, if you have a device with width 1200 or larger, the style that you define in the media tag will work. So yeah, that was it about the media thing. It is a little complicated to learn. You will have to practice it a lot, but most of the times uh, it will work when you have to change two things. Like here, I had to change this to this, then it had to work. But for tags like my website, if I want it to be smaller, whenever I do this, I should not use media queries. I should use already given em tags and rem tags, these type of tags. So next comes best practices. So we have basically come to the last section of our today's session. What are the best practices while practicing CSS, while making a website, is to make your website mobile first. Whenever you are doing a personal project, most of the times in companies you will get a UI part of the website first. But if you are doing it for your personal projects, you should always use mobile first approach, and you should always avoid using media queries, because media you should always use media queries for elements that need to be changed totally in the mobile look. But for these types of elements like a div or a h1 tag or a text p tag. You should not use media queries. You should instead use percentages, rem, etc. And you should always test on real devices. Ending notes, whatever extra things that you will have to learn. There is, well, we almost covered whatever, we almost covered whatever we had, whatever important things CSS has. The advanced things that you will have to learn is grid advanced. Like grid is a vast concept. Most of the times you will not have to use it, the advanced things. But yeah, if you want to learn more, like go deeper into the layout of the website, you should learn the uh, advanced things of grid. Always use units like rem, vh. I told you viewport height, viewport width, etc. Advanced media query. There are a lot of things. There are ternary operators, binary operators in media queries. You can use or, and, etc. And ending notes are that you should practice, and practice CSS. And wait a second. This is the link. This is your first. This is your first assignment.